Gee, Gorja, Sharish. Today is the 1st of May, Bialtana. The house to myself, so I thought I'd try and create a little video. This will be the second devlog. I've tried 3 or 4 times to record, and each time something would just catastrophic would happen. One time the audio didn't work. The next time I was the wrong format. I had to convert it across, and then I just blew up my hard drive. So, and then twice more, I kind of just devolved into kind of going into crazy details and stuff, and talking at length about obscure topics. So I'm going to try and keep this one under an hour, though, no promises. And I'm going to just show the app as it is. This week is the first week that people have been using it. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Actually. So this weekend the plan is to kind of clean up the app based on the feedback, and next week give it to more users, so hopefully supporters and Patreons. And yeah, it's kind of like a lot of work went into it, so I'm kind of a bit nervous. So yeah, so on the login page we have a few things already. So first of all, language support. So we can support any dialects we want. The only limitation is the translations. To do this, I just ran it through a script to kind of translate it. So it's just Google Translate Irish Gaijin. Not even, and it's probably there's probably some mistakes in it, but the app has a way that you can submit requests for changes for the language in the app and stuff, right? So so for English if you want, Irish, and then a hybrid in between if you have a few. So you can see here this is probably split. This might be too hard, but if you have a couple of focal email, password, login as Jock is, and that's the idea. So this is kind of in between. And then on the app there's also a course you can do to build up your Irish to get here, and there's also, like I said before, a place you can submit requests for changes, and you can also add support for dialects. So if someone came along and did the Ulster Irish, for example, and they did every string, every sentence, then we could give that as an option here. Up in the top corner you can change the fonts. This was, I think, asked for on Discord today. I want to put Clo Gaelic, the Seanclo, the old scripts with dots here. I'm just not entirely sure. Well, I just need to test it basically, because if you have GH, CH, DH, whatever as C dot, G dot, changing 2 letters to 1, it should just work, right? This will just become M dot, and this will become F dot. But it just takes a bit more engineering than the other ones, which are just one-to-ones, right? And then I removed the dark mode, because every time I do a screen I have to do it across device, mobile, desktop, and in between for all you iPad users. And then I have to do light mode and dark mode. So I just, for now, I'll remove that, so that finish the screens, and then we just do it once at the end, rather than kind of constantly doing it throughout. What else? This here's a link to the Discord. I might change that icon, and yeah, I'll just log in. And on the design. So the original app uses Flutter, which is this. Which is this framework by Google. You use a language called Dart, built by Google, and this converts down into the code for each platform. So Android has its own code language, iOS has its own code language, Swift, and each desktop. So, and then also the web stuff into JavaScript. They have their own design library, Google Material Design. which is probably like, you probably see this everywhere. This is like every app ever looks like this from Google. You know, it's just one library, and all of Flutter is based around this. There's also Cupertino, which I believe is it's a place in California. This is the iOS one. So even if you can see it here actually for Flutter, it's like all this kind of iOS stuff. For this, for Shunlock we used Material because it's the basic one, because it was, you know, a weekend project that grew arms and legs. For this one I wanted to kind of do a new design and wanted to get away from, I suppose, like corporate SaaS, software as a service app stuff, because they're everywhere now. It kind of makes you a bit jaded. Maybe that's just me projecting, but I wanted something that was a bit easy on the eyes, a bit more kind of like fun, a bit of a throwback to school, I suppose, at college, or like doing notes, pen and paper and stuff. And that's kind of like the philosophy of the app too. It's like it's not like a Duolingo. It's not a so this is something different. This is like a sandbox, and it's trying to be more. Yeah, well, a lot of thought went into it. I could write a few essays on the stuff. But this was designed from scratch. We took some libraries in the beginning, and then in the end I had to just redo it. So the idea is kind of like hand-drawn stuff, highlighter, post-it notes, like, you know, stuck-in notes and stuff. This is my development email. If anybody wants any apps built, I'm always looking for work. Yeah, so this is the app. So I guess, I don't know, from the top, close. This is for navigation over here. You won't see. I'm gonna do it for English because it'll make it easier for everybody. You won't see all of this. Like admin will just be me and the team, and then reviewer, like you will see this, but it'll be like to apply to be a reviewer, and then you see the rest of it. So from the top going across, I'll leave this one out because this is a whole system I need to explain. But in the App Anywhere thread, you can use Google Translate up here. I don't want that thinks it's the password. That's fine. Google Translate API is free, so it's fully available here. I might leave a note actually on this, being like, you know, be aware that Google Translate isn't an authority on Irish. It's just like, you know, because if word-to-word translation is problematic in most languages, like, you know, it can lead you astray thinking that it's a word-to-word translation. There's all kinds of different subtleties and worldviews, and you know, it's just but I guess it's kind of useful to have it. And then down here you can go and check on Folklore or Changlin, the word too, and then you can save it to my list. Which actually I think that's yeah, it's broken. I need to fix that. So throughout the app, as you're interacting and doing all kinds of stuff, you can, anytime you see a word, you can just save it into your list, and then like it's kind of stored here, so you can like have an ongoing list, and then you can kind of practice and revise. I'm going to go over this a bit later because it's one of the core features. Up at the top, you can also do have listened to the radio. I hope that wasn't too loud. These radio stations like have web APIs that are used, so like it's difficult to control the volume. Like you can do it in here if you want, but radio. So then we have basically Radio Gaeltachta, which is probably the most, what's the word, official maybe. Radio Rira, which is what I listen to mostly, and there's Radio Nilifie. And then from Belfast, Radio Fáilte. So the idea is like you can listen to this as you're kind of working through the app and stuff. Later on, you could probably do something cool where you could like track how many hours you spent listening. Maybe we could put in chat rooms or something, or some way of like people to chat to each other like while listening to the radio. That could be cool. Like this is linked to the Discord. Profiles. I'll go into profiles in a bit. because like if I go into the features, it's like a deep dive, and you get lost. And then we've already seen the menu, so like this is profile again and sign out. So I'll do the profiles because it's the kind of quickest. Everybody has a profile. You can be anonymous if you want. Ignore the double thing. I have to fix that. For mine, I have admin and reviewer. Will be a process for anybody to apply to be a reviewer of content, and probably for admin too actually later on, because the idea is to kind of have this as open as possible, because it's volunteer based, so we want to have as many people as possible. And then speaker, which I should change to creator here, because it's like basically means somebody who creates content for the app, which again can be anybody. Don't need to be a reviewer to create content for the app. Anybody can create content. It just needs to go through a review process just to stop people posting up like copyright material, or basically messing around and doing inappropriate stuff with content. So we kind of need to moderate it. And again, we're volunteers, so it needs to have a kind of a smart system. There's all the kind of the stuff, and you can kind of change preferences and the languages, and this has been moved since. I actually might remove it from here. You can make your account anonymous, which means no one else, you just show up as anonymous to everybody else, or else you can be you can do your notifications. Have the privacy policy, which basically the back button's broken. I should have done that. So basically with the privacy, we only take data that we absolutely need. It's just easier for safety and for us. So we don't take anybody's date of birth or anything beyond your email. We don't want anything that's personal. We do take anonymous stats. So like we take just somebody using the app from the USA now, and they've used it for like 10 minutes, but we don't know where that is in the US. It's just some random or on a certain type of device. The reason we do that is because the statistics are really useful for us to see who's using it and where, what devices we need to support, but also because of this, Irish is underfunded, it's disregarded, I think. So I think showing how popular it is and having the stats, I think is really good. I think already with Sherlock kind of showed that. I mean, it was something I built for fun, and then it eventually had 15,000 users. So despite never getting to the App Store, and at some stage we had thousands of people on the app, so each day. So that's valuable data, because people tell you that it's only 70,000 speakers. Daily speakers of the language and X, Y, and Z. There's no market for it and all this stuff, but I think we kind of want to show that that's not the case, that it's quite popular. So we keep the bare minimum and we keep it anonymous, and the only other thing is we do, if someone's under the age of 18, they are not able to post any content that doesn't go through a review process, through moderation, and that's to stop underage people posting up content that they shouldn't be posting up, like personal details and like. I think GDPR is 16, but it just 18 just seems a bit easier. Like 18 is generally kind of post leaving cert, I suppose. And yeah, so for people like that, we take the year and month that you'll turn 18, so that we can, unlock your account. And then once that's unlocked, it automatically gets all the information you've taken gets deleted, because so we keep the absolute bare minimum amount of content we can keep. It is debatable if we should even take the anonymous statistics. I mean, at most it's like country and device type, so like Android, iOS, or web. But I think it's kind of more useful. It is a useful thing to do, and I think it's part of the whole doing like by Irish and trying to show people how popular it is and stuff. So yeah, and then GDPR too. You can download your data, so you can download all of your stuff from the database. And I need to go back to Shunnock and do the same thing, so that you can move your data across from Shunnock to this app. But yeah, all this from day one. You know, it might be boring, but it's important to get it right. And the whole app, everything, because it was the first time it was like a prototype that kind of grew arms and legs and stuff. Now that we're doing this properly, we should do everything right and from the start. So yeah, and then you can delete your account, which is also very important for GDPR and other reasons. So that's the profile. Maybe not the most interesting, but if I go to edit profile, you can put up, you know, a nice profile picture. Don't mind mine. I don't have any images on this computer because it's just recording, so I just take a screenshot. And you can put bio, you can add any links you want. We're not going to police this, so you can put it to your shop or like your courses or your apps or whatever you got going on. If you're doing it the Irish language, like, that's great. And then you can pick your dialect, and I'll go over this later on because this is how users find your content. And so yeah, so basically people can follow you and then they can see all your content, your course content and stuff. And you know, if you put your course content, you can like add links and bios and stuff so people can know who you are, or you can be anonymous, whichever you prefer. So that's this one. I'll go back to the desktop and I'll talk about the vocabulary. So this new one like did a proper database this time and took any source of public data on Irish vocabulary and stuff I could find, and from that I generated much more again. So it's like 40,000 words fully supported, and 150,000 with some support. Funnily enough though, like some of the most common words like atá and stuff are not covered, just because of the nature of the data and stuff, but there's ways to add that in. And then from that I generated like all the mutations, so like Lenish and Shavu, all this kind of stuff. I added the grammar rules so I could create that, and I'll show all this in a bit. I'll show you how it works through the app. But the progression system here, like in Shunnock, it's like just this magic points, which doesn't make any sense, and I kind of always had a problem with the gamification because it's like the point isn't to get your magic score up. Your point is to learn the language, right? So the way this works is, and on the app too, like anybody can contribute content across all kinds of stuff. So I wanted something that was universal to every course. So what made sense to me was to do vocabulary. So all of the words on the app are tracked, and we use something called Bayesian knowledge tracking, which basically means it takes an estimate of the chance that you know something. So it might start off at 10%, and every time you solve something or do something that shows the app that you know the word, that goes higher, and then the app will keep showing you that word in exercises until it goes past, say, 90% chance that you know it. Once you know it, then it's put on this kind of like the forgetting curve, the human forgetting curve, which is kind of the base of SRS, spaced repetition stuff like Anki and cards and stuff. It's like, you know, how we forget stuff. So it goes onto this, and then like it goes from 90% and it just decays then. And then if you do your revision, it goes back up again. And the more that you do your revision, the less you'll see it. So after like a week or two, if you keep getting it right, it won't show up again because you know it. Yeah, so that's what this is. This is like that, and there's one here and it needs to be reviewed. The rest of them haven't been done, but you would see a strength rating here. And then you can do some exercises. I think I'll show this now actually, yeah. Some notes here. Some of these words like they're missing. Like I said earlier on, some of them are missing stuff. Like Awalia is probably a lot more common. It's not that rare. So Just be aware of that. So if you go to any word in the app, you can click into it and you can go to any of these external links. It was important to kind of put these in because for somebody coming to the language, they might not be aware of what resources are available. These are all free, so it's good to be aware, and these are much better than Google Translate, although you can use Google Translate up here. Again, this is for free. From the top, and every word in the app has this. From the top you can see what sentences we have supported, what sentences that shows up, so like how many sentences in the app we have with this word in it, per dialect. So all the content is divided by a dialect. The standard and Kaijon is just like, it's kind of like a catch-all, I suppose, or the default, and then Munster, Connacht and Ulster. From usage stats of Shonnock, people seem to really like Ulster, Munster and Connacht. so especially Ulster is really popular. I don't know why that is. I've spoken to some people, and I know why people have an opinion on the standard and stuff, but I think from an app point of view, it would be easier just to do the standard. I think the diversity is quite nice. I'm kind of hoping people will jump between dialects and pick up different words. And speaking of which, each of the words then has tagged in which dialect it shows up in. So if you create a course for Ulster Irish, and say if you create a course in Munster Irish and you use the word Foster for whatever reason, then Foster would have Ulster beside it because it's in one of those sentences, but also Munster because you put it into that course. So you can kind of get a quick glance at which dialects it shows up in. This one's missing Ulster, and I wonder why. I'll take a look at that course actually. So the Ulster and Connacht and the Kaijon course where each of those were done professionally, proofread, paid for by the donations. Couldn't find a Munster speaker, and I did try. I went hunting. I even made a bit of a fool of myself, messaging people, cold emailing people, asking them to do it, but I couldn't find a speaker. So hopefully that changes soon. I haven't uploaded the audio yet, though we have Ulster audio and Kaijon audio, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we might get some Connacht too. Again, nothing from Munster. It wasn't neglect. I put in probably 5 times more effort, 10 times more into Munster, and I just couldn't find any speakers, unfortunately. I don't know why that is. It could just be my circle. So yeah, so there's no audio here, but you can add your audio if you want. The app, and you can add it in any dialect and level you want. I kind of wanted so people could do different dialects and stuff. The app does not record your audio on the phone, and that's because it's better if you set up a microphone and do it all properly, because if you don't do it, you have to re-record it, because if it doesn't sound great, and it's worth kind of investing maybe an hour or some days to kind of set up the right setup and be able to edit the audio and stuff. It isn't that hard once you do it, and the software is free, and we'll give a guide to it and stuff. So yeah, so you can do that there. You can add a definition if you want. The way this is done is that there's, from the Irish WordNet, which is one of the data sources, we have a lot of definitions, and you can also add your own. And the way we did it is that there might be multiple definitions for words, and then so you can keep adding as many as you want. You can comment on them, and you can have a chat and stuff. People can have a chat about it and stuff, and then you can upvote your favorite. So over time, the most popular one should go to the top. There's no downvoting because it doesn't really make sense. I mean, you either like something or you don't. So yeah, I kind of want to avoid any chance of drama on the app, because again, we don't really have the resources for moderation. These comments and stuff, anybody can do it. If you're over the age of 18, there is a report system which goes to the admins, and admins can block, ban, which basically just removes your ability to post unreviewed content publicly, and that's just kind of like if that and at all, we'll just do that because it will just save us headaches. Because the app needs to be like PG because it's going to be for kids are going to be using it and stuff. So like it needs to be clean and safe and stuff. So you kind of need to have a bit of moderation. Again, this is the source from the data source. Down here, list every single sentence with this word in the app. And the reason I was keen on this is because if you've ever come across comprehensive reading for learning, which is that you just basically keep reading in your target language and then through exposure you pick it up. In that, the idea is you need to see a word like 10 to 20 times before you'll remember it. So you see the most frequent ones a lot, but if you think of a more like uncommon word, it takes a lot of reading to get it. So I kind of thought it's cool if you could flip it on its head and just see the 20 contexts up front, if you're so inclined. So that's what this is. You can kind of see every one of the sentences, and this will grow too as the app grows. So, and then throughout the app, anywhere we have Irish sentences, these two features are stuff I've made with the database. So we use Postgres Supabase, which is a really powerful database, and one of the reasons to switch from Shunnock to this was because of it. And one of the things I was able to do was generate all of the mutations and do all the kind of like part of speech and stuff, and that's what's coming here. So this works in any Irish sentence at all. And later on, I think after the release, I think I will give like a plug-in for here, so you can just use this anywhere online you want, and you get this. And every one of these words is clickable. I wonder why, like, Avonia is literally here and it's not showing up. Is that a bug or something? I'll take a look later on. I'll click on this one, so you can keep clicking down through words. Like this one has its own stuff again, and you can see it has even its own sentences again. So you can keep digging down through words and go backwards and forwards. Down here, this is the data. It says this is Shebu, the nation of Mai. So I think that's kind of useful, and we have this 64 sentences. Well, I think technically 16, because I'm pretty sure these 16 sentences are repeated across dialect, because it's just the introduction course. And then again, you can save it to my list, which goes up here, so you could revise it. And then there's definitions here. These are from WordNet. And this was another thing too. I wanted to kind of like make it that the reference was always put underneath something, so you knew where it was coming from. And later on, it should be like, if you put in a note or definition, it should be like, you know, Sean or whatever, like, and you click on that and go to my profile and see what I'm doing and stuff. I was really keen to kind of get the accreditation from the start, right, so that people didn't have to worry about, you know, like kind of like Wikipedia, where you would get people would know who was doing what. I think that leads to like a really nice, transparent. It's a really nice system, right? That will just grow over time, right? And like it's showing these similar words. That's kind of funny. That's from Bundamo. This here is a garble string, because I need to go. This is what the translations actually look like. This is what the couple of focal English and Irish look like onto the HUD, and these haven't been translated, so I need to go do that. I think the bottom they should be like variable noun, variable adjective. It just shows you all of this stuff. These should be clickable. I'm going to fix that actually. I need to do that over this weekend. I'll make each of these clickable. These ones here are definitely clickable. And add your audio. I think I'll move this to the top. And then this is a static page. I need to make sure this is right, because I tried to get the licenses right and stuff. But this is us. And if you're submitting stuff in the app, it'll be made clear you need to kind of follow the license. The license we have is for text. It's pretty like, it's basically anybody can use it, but they can't commercialize it. And if they improve upon it, they need to submit it back. And the audio one is basically, we don't take any copyright, we just take the rights to use it in the app, and the person who created the audio keeps the copyright, and it also has the license where like it can't be used. Basically, no one can use it. They can't use it for. If someone used device data to train an AI model, for example, you would have the legal right to claim that AI model. It was like a poison pill. That was really important because of all the voice cloning going on, and it's kind of protect people. It's like kind of protect people's voices and stuff, because it's personal identity and stuff. It's also just weird stealing people's voices. But throughout the app, all of the content you create in the app, you have total control over removing it and deleting it and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really important too, because I'm kind of speaking from like early days of Duolingo. A lot of stuff was done, forms and content and stuff, and then like that was basically like just shut off one day. And in Irish, the idea is to kind of stop this lost content issue, which happens a lot. Copyright is a real pain when you're trying to learn Irish. Like, for example, there's like a South Park Oscar I'll get out there somewhere that I'd love to get my hands on, but copyright reasons you can't, right? And the licenses we have for copyright here, it's such that anybody can use it, like for learning or teaching and stuff. But we do stop people commercializing it, and the reason for that is quite simple, because if you don't do that, companies like Duolingo and these big places will take all your work, and then they'll just build on top of it and put a price tag on it. And not only is it doesn't feel good, but it also, if that happens, it can kill a community, because people lose the motivation and they go to the paid app, right? So you kind of have to we have to learn the lessons from other projects in the past. Yeah, so Irish WordNet, and so this database too, like you can use it. There's a public API which I need to document and make available, so you can use it in your own apps. And I like the database available too. It's just you can't go and like put it behind a paywall. That too is because if someone's like putting the time in, volunteering and recording audio, and they're like, spending weekends doing this, it should be that it's kept in the public domain. It's not fair to take someone else's work and profit off it, right? So yeah, and then we put the links wherever we can. We put links to the places. It's kind of the app is, but we're not trying to like, in other apps they're trying to make money and grab your attention. They want you to stay on the app, and for us it's the opposite. We kind of want people using all of the resources and stuff, because the app's only aim is to like get more people speaking Irish. So I've been talking for ages, and I haven't even got to the exercises yet. I'll go up here to this and I'll show you. This feature is a bit raw, and people have already given me feedback on it, but I think if you understand where it's coming from, this is a really bad example too. There's only one sentence. The idea was like I wanted something where you could, while the sentences are being built up, something where you could practice just single words, practice your vocabulary. And in Shonak, a lot of people ask for like fill in the gaps and fill in the blanks and all that kind of stuff. And from the app point of view, if we can just generate these lessons on the fly, it's just, you do it once and you don't have to worry about it. Whereas creating courses and content needs to be done, proofread, and it takes a while and stuff. Do it per dialect. So this basically, there's like 3,000, 4,000 sentences on the app at the moment, and it actually I'll show you the other way. There's actually a lot here, yeah. So build your vocabulary. So this bit here, and there's a typo here, or not typo, mistake. First of all, if we use the Irish WordNet, which is kind of like this, WordNet's like a model where basically in English it breaks up stuff down by its abstraction. So dog is pet, is animal, is alive, right? And then there's an Irish version of that we used, done by an individual, which is in the data sources, and then took that and we're able to kind of categorize the words. And this also was it wasn't just that, there was a few other things, because that wasn't perfect. I had to kind of do some more stuff, and then that's for these. That's like all the categories and objects and materials and stuff. And like some of it's pretty good, but if you go in, you can always find one that just seems a bit out of place and stuff. But it's it's kind of just trying to give you a general sense. It's pretty good for the most part. The top ones are from corpus.ie, and it's like the frequency, so like from top 100 to top 10,000. So you can go in here and you can kind of see, and all over the app you can search by like strength is like your like ability in it, the app's estimate of your ability, and you can add it to your list. And frequency is based on the word frequency, like how common it is. So yeah, and each of these things, these items, color coded by the word type, and then you can see here which dialect the word appears in, and how common it is, and how much support it is. I tried to make as much information without making it, too much. But yeah, so you can, each of these words is clickable. You can go into them, and hopefully over time, you can see my history with this one. Hopefully over time then audio will be built up and people can add notes. You can add notes, and you can add a definition, which is like what the word means, which would be like a Deneen dictionary definition or something. But you can also just add notes, which could be anything from like learner's notes to like dialect details to like anything at all. When you submit stuff, you can like create one that's private, which is just for yourself. If you submit it for review, the reviewers check it first before it goes public. You can probably see why these videos go on so long, and yeah, there's still so much to talk about. So let's keep going. So back to the vocabulary, and then if you're learning, you can pick to have a whole new set of new words, or you can revise old ones, or have a bit of both. The way it works is like the science shows we can keep 5 things in our head at once. So like the idea of this one was to have 5 words that you'd be going through. I think I might show the 5 words at the start for people just to kind of get a primer and stuff, and then they can go in and see. Yeah. So you keep doing it, and then when it comes up you get this word. The emojis are because we ran out of icons. I kind of created some icons for it first, and I ran out, so I just start using emoji codes. So there's a few artists in the project, I think they'll start replacing these, but I don't know, actually kind of grown on me. I kind of like the emojis, and then all the information we have in it, and then yeah, same as again. So like basically you can go dig down into a word to your heart's content, and from the words build up your sentences, and then from your sentences build up your fluency. And then the hints sometimes work and sometimes they're not that useful. And here for this one, what is this? This is Ain, right? So it's so there's lots of sentences you can check in all the different contexts. And wait, did I break something here? Oh, I think I did it. I don't know what I did there. Broke it. Strange. No. Testing it live. No one reported that, so I'm guessing that's the first person to come across it. Yeah, you can turn these on and off, and these things, they will dynamically show like the legend. So there's an Uru here, there, and there's these ones here are shaders, and then there it is. Later after launch, there is a feature where you can scan books, which is fun. Again, a free API, so you can scan it and it pulls the words in, and you get all this kind of stuff, and you can track all of your words. So you'll be able to pull in your own content, whatever it is, and learn from it. And all of the vocabulary is tracked together, right? So you can kind of see your vocabulary building up. Over time, I want to add support with video stuff for people, because for private stuff you can do whatever you want. It doesn't the copyright doesn't matter. You can put in whatever you want because it's just for private use. You just can't make it public. You can't distribute it. So you can use whatever you want for private learning. And then also I want to add in support for images. Like it's lots of images around because it's quite a nice way to learn. Yeah. So anything else there? Yeah. So the idea of this is you can just keep doing this forever. You can just keep going through. And like you can basically keep doing these and building them up. Yeah. So later on, I want to kind of add in games. It's like I kind of had to draw a line into something to get the app released and polished and stuff. Like, but I wanted to add in like crosswords and word search and Boggle. I don't remember that one. And even there's all kinds of cool games. I've tried. There's There's a game. I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically like a typing game, and you have to type the words as stuff comes at you, and it's like a time thing. I wanted to make something like that too. So the idea is like this is like the first one, and it's generated, and it's kind of a bit basic, but I can take this, or we can take this later on and build more and more stuff on top of it to make this just, break it up, make it more intuitive, make it more easy, where you're just focusing on a single word at a time. Time is the great limiter, right? It's like, it kind of, it's just me working on it, and I do try to put as much time in as I can, but as you might imagine, not to go into too much detail, but I probably will overshare. But like I work freelance now, so I'm working at other apps, and it's funny because this month alone, it's 3 of the apps, including this one, possibly 4, are going to be launched. So it's funny how everything all comes at once across 3 different languages too, 3 different programming languages. So. Yeah, I think I dream in apps. That's all good stuff, I suppose. So my point being, I really would love to, I even did this one, I built a lot of it too because I was using it myself. And the games are also sitting in like experiment project folders and stuff. But I just the time to kind of like put it all together and test it and get it out and stuff. So it's a question of when, not if. Hopefully over time this will become like a whole grid of 10 different ways you can do, and you can pick whichever one suits you best. Actually, I will show the game engine at the end of it because I did actually add. It's not in the app, but I did an experiment where I was able to add a game engine, which is kind of cool. So yeah, so this is to build your vocabulary, which is kind of like taking all of the data we have and trying to like make stuff out of it, games and stuff for people just to build up the words. But words is not everything, and in fact, if you just learn words alone, it's kind of like not a great way to learn the language. You kind of need to learn stuff in context, and so this is kind of, I think, what the main part of the app will be. And this is like creators, so text or audio, right? When you first see this, it'll be blank. I need to redesign it because it's not intuitive at all. This is dreadful UX UI. But anybody who creates content will show up here. It'll be called list, and you can filter it by whatever you want. So the approach we've taken to this is we're not going to tell people what dialect they have or what level they are. People can self-identify, and we have like other, if it's not covered here, and probably do the same here. But yeah, so like Ulster, Munster, Connacht, standard and hybrid is kind of what we've seen mostly through exploration and stuff. I just realised I need to change the boxes to match all of these. So yeah, so I mean later on, I think some people will ask me about doing Leinster dialect. I'm not entirely sure what a Leinster dialect is because I think there's a big difference between North Leinster, which is I think historically Ulster Ulster Irish. I think Ulster Irish came down as far as Meath, right? So so like the Loud is kind of very much Ulster, and so it's interesting dialects wise. And then I think down south Leinster might even be closer to Ring Irish, right? I don't know, but yeah, sorry, I'm getting lost in the sauce. Because there might be more dialects, but even within, like, think of Munster, how many dialects are in Munster? I already mentioned Ring Irish, was like, you know, Gorgorina and all kinds of dialects. So yeah, so we can add more in over time. For the levels, I put in the European standard because I think everybody's familiar with it. It's not best because generally people will have one level at speaking, another level at listening, and a different level at writing. So, but it's just good to have something. I kind of then divided it between, like, you know, like native speaker, which would be kind of like you grew up with it as your first language and English was your second. And then like Leafa, which is kind of like you became fluent, however you became fluent. But I mean, someone could be like, it's for people to determine themselves if they're native or not. Maybe we could come up with a different word for this, but for me, I just put in Gaeilgeoir, which is like enthusiast. I think, like, it's just, you know, it's a bit easier, catch all. I guess if people are learning, like, I'm kind of hoping people will listen to A1, A2, B1, because if you're going to a pop-up Gaeltap, you're going to be talking to people at that level, right? People learning and stuff, and it's kind of important to be able to communicate with people of all levels of Irish. While we strive to be like the native speakers. Yeah, I don't know, you can kind of talk for days about the different levels and stuff, but the approach we're taking is anything anybody wants to identify as, we'll add it in, and then that's just how people find speakers. So if I show up and start claiming that I've got C2 Irish and I'm a native speaker, and I speak Ulster Irish, people listen to my course, they're going to be calling me out, being like, what is that? So yeah. So yeah, you can follow people then, and then when you come back here, you'll have like a list of people you're following and all their courses. Generally, like, you kind of have to stick, if you're a speaker, you need to like identify with one dialect. Maybe you might change it in the future, but the reason being, you come in here, it's kind of like the way we've separated the app is because we need to separate like you've got speakers, and then they have courses, and then there's different dialects and stuff. It gets messy quite quickly. Here you have the different dialects to show that it was done in different dialects. If that's available in other dialects, not by the speaker, but just in general. So yeah, the whole idea here is that, like, you come onto the app and you say, like, I'm a speaker at this level and I make this content. It just makes it a bit easier and cleaner, but I guess this could be changed in the future if people wanted to. So you can come in here, and this is the new basic lesson interface. So yeah, I suppose I'll just go through it again. So you want to get to the point that you're passing the test, and this is kind of to try and gate it, because when you're learning anything, and this is actually what is my final year thesis on in college, and I did it on electric dynamics and why students struggle with it so much, mathematics and physics. The project itself is not great. I had a tough year in my college, but the conclusion was people rush by early on concepts thinking they know them because they're easy, and later on run into trouble because they miss some like edge case or nuance and stuff. So this idea here is to kind of like just put a little gate so that you make sure people know before they move on. So you can do learn, which is like just, it's just reading, and then like Yeah, this is why these videos get so long, and it's funny, there's so much features in this app and I still feel like it's missing so much. Yeah, I'm trying to rush through this, so I'm just going to take a moment to slow down and speak slower, because it's not something I can rush through. This is just reading sentence pairs, and you can click into the sentence and all of this. You can also leave notes. These can be private or public. You can see the public notes. You can submit your own notes to be reviewed. You can have a little chat in here. You can ask questions like, hey, what's going on there? Like any other questions. The creator will see it, other people will see it. You can have a chat and stuff. The creator can choose not to have comments enabled if they don't want to deal with it. They can also choose to ban you or block you from leaving comments if they don't want to deal with you. If someone's creating Irish content, you want to make it as fun and enjoyable as possible. So that's kind of how moderation is done. If you mess around too much and get reported, you will have your privileges removed for commenting and stuff. Again, you just want to have no drama. And you kind of have to plan for every eventuality, because if you have enough users, eventually you'll come across somebody who's probably having the worst day of their lives, right? Statistically. So that's this. We can probably add more stuff here, and you get more content, and you can kind of learn and take your time and really kind of dive down. The idea of the notes throughout the app is that if you come across something that's missing something, and then you have to go off and like research it, that you might then take the time to add in a note, which first is your own learning, but also helps the next learner, right? That's kind of the idea. Yeah, the back button is broken. I need to fix that. Exercise and Screwdo are kind of like the same, but with Screwdo you basically will get 3 lives, and if you lose all 3, you have to start the test again. Whereas exercise is just like gone stroll. There's no stress. It's just like you basically here, and I meant to show this earlier on in the vocabulary thing. But when you have typing exercises, is the moment you get it wrong, it shows up in red. As soon as you get it right, it goes green, and then oh, that's a bit of a jittery jank there. I need to fix that. Yeah, there's a May here, isn't there? And then if you miss the fada, it goes orange. So you get instant feedback, and that's kind of important. And you can also check the answers if you want. There's many ways to say these things. The point here isn't so much to be like, this is the only way to say it. It's just to be like, this is one way of saying this, and learn off the pattern and stuff. And then you can click on all the words again, go and have a browse and stuff. The other one, Screwdo, is that, but and you need to do Screwdo to get to the next stage. And every time, and you can do as much as you want here. It doesn't matter. Take as long as you want. You can even go and Google it. But if you go and check the hints, you lose a life. Try again. Retry. And up here you can kind of have these optional stats, so you can have your time spent doing it and your words per minute and mistakes and stuff. The whole idea is to encourage you to come back and repeat content. And this is like one of the things in learning. One of my favorite ones is in violin, the Suzuki method. And he was like really keen on basically you return to the material to review it again and again and again, and build up fluency that way, that you can just off like a song, right? So that when you're using it in a conversation or something, you're not even thinking about it. It's in your subconscious. It just comes to you, and you're focusing on the conversation itself. Whereas I think in school, college, and other places, you're kind of thinking, well, how am I going to do this in the exam? You're kind of like trying to get this artificial thing done, whereas we're trying to the app is trying to drill in fluency, and fluency and knowledge are not the same thing, you know. like if I was like fluency is like, you know, if you ever looked at a great sports person or a musician or, you know, someone like Lionel Messi or something, like I'm pretty sure when he does stuff, he's playing football, he doesn't even think of it. He's like, I'm going to go there and I just do this because it's happened so fast. He must just automatically do it, right? Whereas there's probably people out there who've done their PhD on the aerodynamics of Lionel Messi or something, and they know everything, all the knowledge and stuff, but they're not the same thing. You can know something and not be fluent in it, and you can be fluent in something and not have thought about it, right? But one can lead to the other, but you need to practice knowledge to get your fluency. You need to practice to get fluency, full stop. A bit of knowledge just definitely helps, but yeah, so that's kind of like, I think school is really good for knowledge, like for learning facts and stuff. I think basically even modern society struggles with fluency a lot, and I sometimes think that there's better systems in the past for fluency. But yeah, I digress. So yeah, so you keep going on through and get your stars. If you scrape through with just one life left, you get 1 bronze star. If you don't need any help at all, you get 3 gold stars. And again, this is kind of going back to like the old school, like skull and kind of vibe and stuff. I don't know if anybody else got gold stars when they were in primary school, but that's kind of what I remembered. And yeah, and the UI can be cleaned up too, made more interesting and stuff. So that's the content there. I could talk more and more about this, like the philosophy of why it's like this and why it's structured like this. Like for example, a lot of thought went into like making this fast. So it's like you can just come in and you can just do this like as fast as you can, or on your phone or whatever, and like you can just and go through it fast so that you can get that fluency. And then you have like words per minute and stuff, but that's not strictly needed. And the vocabulary, which is like basically where you can search the whole app for all the words in it, and the filter. Oh, I've gone too far. These orange things, yeah, Avalia, we were there earlier on. The bug there is that this symbol should have been present earlier on. We should have been able to see it, and it wasn't. The ones that are missing stuff, I have a little like missing data on it, and I need to add in a way that people can fill in the stuff themselves, because you can put in definitions and notes, but you can't submit word entries yet. See, you can see the idea. Like the idea is that all of us will start contributing, and over time we'll get this public data set that just covers everything for everybody learning Irish, and anybody can use it, from schools to students to whatever, researchers and stuff. So that's the idea, and you can filter it. And again, this is kind of like the this thing I was talking about earlier on. Yeah, it can be fun to come in here and see which ones don't belong. So yeah, I'm wondering now, because I see if I put in like a Google Translate word here, it might help a lot of people, but then like we all know how unreliable it is, and it does drive people mad if you start using it and stuff. Like a lot of like this design too is you kind of want to get people that this app is all in Irish. Like this app is not just for learning, that you're getting to this stage that this is your like a guaranteed Irish dose each day, because you know, to learn a language, everybody that says that immersion is best, and using it daily. So having somewhere you can come and just be immersed in Irish every day and have a habit is probably the best way to build up the language. That's kind of the idea of this and stuff. So yeah, so more, I mean, before I start adding more stuff in, we need to kind of like fix what's there. My biggest fear is that people just won't care, you know, and that they won't even bother submitting anything. But I kind of have to stay positive and myself at least, and others in the team will be doing it. So I mean that's at least 3 people. So yeah, content is where you come to create content, and in school and stuff, very much we are like skewed towards consumption and comprehension and understanding and stuff, and that's just the nature of, like, if you have a teacher and they've got 30 students, it's kind of difficult to have a two-way kind of flow, right? But in learning, composition is just as important as comprehension, and it's like learning an instrument or anything. You kind of have to do it and well, fuck up basically. You need to mess up, correct, and then go again, right? And the best way to test your comprehension is to try and create something to compose, right? Richard Feynman, the Nobel Prize winner and the guy who wrote the Feynman lectures, he said, and it's called like the Feynman method of like that when you teach something, that's the best way to learn. And I've definitely found that when you have to explain something or do something like that, it makes it much easier to test yourself and make sure you understand. So I think creating content and lesson content is a really good way to learn. So you can browse content and any of the courses that exist you can copy, and the idea is you can copy someone else's course and then you just change it to what you would say for that course. With the courses, the idea is you can put in whenever you want. It doesn't start up here and stuff. You can put it in whenever you want. So at the moment it's like, oh my bad. It's like direct English to Irish sentences, but the English is just a prompt. It could be like you're in a cafe and the barista looks at you funny, and then it's like, what do you say? Or it could even be an image or a picture, or it's just something to prompt you into the scenario where you're going to use the language. So if someone could figure out a way not to have a prompt sound to get the same thing, I'd like to know. But generally you need the prompt in the user's target language, I guess. Like you could also do the prompt here. It doesn't have to be in English, it could be in Irish. I've never actually learned the language in the language, but that could be interesting. So yeah, and then you can upload your audio and you're happy with it, and then the discussion here is with people who, if it's public, you're chatting backwards and forwards. When you submit this, you can also have a conversation elsewhere with the reviewers. That's private between you and the reviewers, and that'll be stuff like, questions on copyright material, feedback on your microphone. They might point out some stuff like, oh, did you were you aware of this and stuff, but it's never going to be like, that's wrong, change it. And you like, it's never going to be like someone dictating what is or isn't right, because if that's who you say it, that's who you say it, and you've already identified as the type of speaker you are and stuff. So we don't want to get into like the territory of defining what is and isn't the right way to say something. It's also, with language, it's kind of a ridiculous thing. Like, it's such a fabrication to say that there is a right way to say something in any language. Like, you think about it, language is communal. If you say something that's understood, then it had its effect, right? This idea of like, the King's English and stuff, it's a fabrication, or wherever they have in Paris, and like centralized states and stuff, and it makes sense. You kind of, it's much easier to run a country and society if everybody speaks the same language as a common tongue. Even in Arabic they have it's a Fusa, classical, a common language between everybody, but in reality language is constantly changing, and you can even see that with like how Latin broke into like French, Portuguese and Spanish and everything, and based on geography and stuff. But like even before, this is why the videos keep going so long. Even before okay, it's the modern time. Like if you were in France, the closer you were to the German border, the more Germanic the language was, and then if you got in further towards Spain, you got down to like Occident and other languages and dialects and stuff. So this idea of like there is one way and only one way to say something is a bit ridiculous. But and I think too, like if you're learning Irish, you probably are speaking English, and if you're speaking English, you probably have business English, and you know the English you need, and international English, and the English you need to navigate the world. So you already have like your lingua franca, your like everything language. With Irish, you can indulge yourself. You can go and enjoy the variety, and really get lost in the flavour and the like the diversity of this language, which has been spoken for thousands of years by these communities who have had the most extreme existences, right? So it's like I think Irish is a really, really nice companion to English, because it's different language family, all that kind of stuff, but just because they're just so different, and they kind of give you completely different what's the word, you kind of get the best, you get a lot with just having both of them, right? As opposed to if you had like English and you learn French or German, it's kind of quite similar, right, already. So yeah, anyway, I'll shut up now and carry on with this. So you can create your courses and whenever you want, and then you can use them yourself, and then you can submit them for review. And then here you can see all of the definitions you've done, or the word audio, or the conversations you're involved in, or the notes. All of this you can kind of review here yourself, and then when you're in review, you can have a chat here to the reviewers and stuff. And then here is what I was talking about earlier on, where you can come in and any mistranslations you can like correct here, the version submit for review. And then you can also here, I don't know if you saw that, I need to fix that back button. You can add support for the unsupported ones. They're just placeholder texts at the moment. Sinead. So I think review, I'm not going to show the admin stuff or review. The about needs to be kind of fleshed out. Data sources, community, story. I want to put in a note here about the artists too. It's kind of really important. I will talk briefly about this. I don't know if I've done it before, but it's really important. One of the big issues with Shunnick is it wasn't a legal entity, and to set up a legal entity would have required like a lot of time and you know, like fees and stuff. And the app is making a couple of €100 a month, which is really good. You know, delighted, and we can invest that back in, but you know, it seems a bit foolish to be spending lots of time and money and effort trying to set something up when it hasn't even hit the app stores. So also it's kind of volunteer based stuff, and you kind of want to build it that it like survives. Like say if you set up a private company and start doing the classical model, if you run out of money it goes under and all the software and work is lost. But a public company for a non-profit, that will last as long as people are volunteering with it, right? It'll always be there, and the code is going to be open source, and kind of want to remove any risk of work being lost, right? And the other thing too is if we set up a private company and stuff and we did everything right, we had accountants and stuff, you would have no way of knowing that was the case. So for transparency, I mean, I'm not going to use a blockchain or any of this stuff because I'm going to send people running to the hills. But Open Collective is a non-profit based in Belgium. It's really sort of reputable. Like it's really well respected, and a lot of really great projects and software and stuff are on it. And so far, actually dealing with them has been fantastic. And they cover our taxes, they do our invoicing, they do everything for us. We don't have to trust about any of it. It's all here. and you can see all the donations, you can see who's doing what. This is from the Patreon, and then you can see here the expenses. So this is the first expense. This is for the Ulster Irish, which was done on Fiverr. I put the receipt in, and I got the money straight away. And then this one, we're having a bit of trouble getting it through, but hopefully this weekend for the Cajun Irish. So yeah, so you can see the expenses, and I think if I click in this, you can see what it was done. Does it show the receipt? So I submitted it. I can't approve my own finances. Someone else needs to approve it, and that's important because we want transparency and to do it properly. If you think about the Irish language too, like in Ireland, some of the greatest successes have been like the GAA and Gaelga and all these organisations from like the late 1800s. So that's kind of what we're trying to follow, as opposed to a Silicon Valley fake it till you make it, swing for the fences, go bankrupt kind of play. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's just a different approach that we're taking. I think it's more about community. So yeah, so this is kind of you can take a look and see. I tried to post here, and actually I was supposed to post 2 weeks ago, but I got stuck in draft, so I need to figure out this interface. But yeah, this is kind of like with Open Collective Europe, and then there's also like Codeberg, which is what I won't be using GitHub. The reason being, GitHub is not private. It trains, Codeberg. It trains its AI on code, and it's also, I'll show you where I'm using GitHub. This is actually an interesting one. If you're not aware, because of all the AI slop, I suppose, GitHub has just been absolutely hammered with like a heap of crap. So they're constantly going out, and it's like in software you're supposed to aim for like 5 nines, like 99.999% uptime. They're like 80%, which is just absolutely insane. But also the privacy thing and like the whole AI push, everything is just people are leaving GitHub in droves. So we're moving to Codeberg. Codeberg is an interesting one because I think it's German. Yeah, Codeberg is a non-profit community lab. The same idea as like Open Collective and what we're doing. And it's interesting because this seems to be a thing in Europe, and I don't know where it's come from, but from places like Proton to Codeberg and Open Collective and stuff in the software space, there's just so many European initiatives coming out, like community-run initiatives and stuff. And even the servers we host are on Hetzner and stuff, and they're like similar. I actually need to go and review the servers. Or are they? Maybe they're not. Maybe they're private. Volter. Forgive me while I just. These are much cheaper ways of hosting servers compared to Google, Amazon, and the American companies. So yeah, so this is Open Collective. That's where we're, based. So please do consider supporting us there. And then you can obviously spread the word, contribute content. Yeah, I'm going to finish up now. I'm hoping this video is something I can post. I mean, it's been a few now I've recorded, so I need to post one eventually. I think I'll end on. So I mentioned Codeberg. So once the app is finished, I need to go through and clean out all of the private stuff, like the API keys and stuff that's used for like server and database stuff that if someone else got, they could mess around with. They could run up the bill or wreck. I need to remove all of that so it's safe, and then I'm gonna push up all the code so anybody can take a look. I have been working on an app for people to learn the code to work on the app, like chicken and egg. I just need to build an app now to learn the app that learns the app. Yeah, no one's gonna laugh at that joke, Shane. So Dreot was the language that was created, I created to, and the intention was maybe to use it for this. In the end, I don't think so, because I was trying to get it that I could compile from the Irish language to the English one and back, so you could pick which one. But I couldn't get it to work. It kept losing some stuff, and it kept requiring manual stuff, and it was just so much overhead. Because if I build it and it's only in Irish, well, first I don't really have the Irish to kind of like support it myself, and then other people too probably be the same. But the language does exist, and like it's quite good. Tá brown arm, clicky, litus. So maybe I need to show you actually the app. Not the app, rather. It's building now. I need to show you the code. So the transpiler is something that moves one language to another. It's not a compiler. It doesn't compile into machine code. It goes from one language to another. The transpiler is in Haskell. It goes from the Dreot, and Dreot is custom language. .dir files. Even I have for it tree setter, so it has like some text highlighting and then error handling and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so this is it. I'll just show you it running. You can see it running over here, and it's a little dungeon caller. But this is a game engine basically, and use this in the app. Ignore the graphics are free asset pack I found. Asset pack. Not acid. That's a different thing. So yeah. So this is kind of for fun and learning and stuff. And I'll show you the code. There's still some English in it. It's kind of bled through, but this compiles down into Clojure Dart, which compiles down into Dart, which compiles down into Android, iOS, web, and yeah. So I'll draw a diagram just to kind of explain what's going on. This is kind of cool. See, because it's kind of like this is just straight through. This is no different to Clojure, but this you can kind of see it's like a mix between Clojure and kind of more of a Haskell-y syntax. And I made a lot of improvements over Clojure Dart, but the language still needs a lot of work, and I really am struggling for time. So this is kind of just more for fun. I'm going to post this up to the repo for people to play around with. Maybe I might do a few videos of just playing around with it myself. It is a lot of fun, not gonna lie. And I was thinking of using this in the app for like some learning content, the engine. So yeah, there's not much code here either. It's quite. This is the engine here, and then this is like the main part and stuff. So what does it have? Is 3 and 6 HP. Yeah. So so I'm just looking for some stuff. This one, and then also for this I think it's this is just the app itself. This is actually a much cleaner one because it's I put more time into this because this was going to be the basis of Madra Teanga, and this is just a notes app. One of the cool things about this actually is that this updates in real time. When you change the code, the app and the stuff updates straight away. So yeah, I'll draw a little diagram showing what's going on here. Like some of this stuff is like this is just for themes and stuff, the colors, and yeah. So in the end, when I was doing it, I just couldn't justify the time invested, and I think I'll keep working on it for fun in the background. Let me just finish with a quick little diagram to show yeah. GNU image manipulation. I really wish they'd change the name of this. See if I can remember how to do this. Whatever. We'll flip it, will we? Can we flip it? It's burning my eyes. It's better. No. Okay. Just give me a second, guys. I'll figure this out. Just someone's slapping their head being quiet. Strange. Okay, why am I not getting a line here? I should have ended the video like 10 minutes ago. Oh, maybe I'll just flip it back and see if that works. Okay. Okay. Okay, so at the top we have 3oct, which is .dr files, and you can write your code here and do whatever you want, and you run your little script here, and it gives you a repo: read, evaluate, print. What's the alpha? Loop, and then this is this code here. So it's your code here. Below this you have closure Dart, which is closure. Closure is a dialect of Lisp. Lisp is a mathematical language. I suppose that's the way it has a very strong reputation in computer science, for better and worse. Actually invented by the son of an Irish immigrant to the US, and John McCarthy. And yeah, I absolutely love Lisp. I think it's fantastic. Clojure is really good, and Rich Hickey, the guy behind it, brilliant. Like just really, really good language. And then this is Clojure Dart. So Clojure is built on top of Java, and the idea was like you can't really use Lisp because wasn't mainstream, and he was sick of using mainstream languages and he really wanted to use Lisp, so he created something that would sit on top of Java, so he could like do his work and give it to his clients, all this kind of stuff, and that was the origin. And since then Clojure also works on top of Python and C++, and in this case it works on top of Dart. Dart is a language by Google. I'm gonna be a bit mean here. I'm gonna say that nobody loves Dart. it does the job, but I don't know anybody who loves it. Which itself is in, or maybe the Flutter framework is within this. Flutter is within this, and this is like the library that Google made to make apps. And the problem with making apps is you need to make the app for Android. Okay, and then you have to do it for iOS, where all the money is, and the big Apple tax, where Apple takes 20% of everything you earn, just cause. And then you need to do it for the web, so that's JavaScript. And then you need to do it for desktops, so that's 3. Like that's like Windows. Let's do W, and Mac, and Linux. So this is Kotlin. That's one language. It used to be Java. This one is Swift. It used to be Objective-C. I don't know if that's named after Jonathan Swift or if it's just because it's fast. And then JavaScript, which is everybody's favorite. So you would have to go and do it for each of these. And then what some things have done is they've like in JavaScript, and it compiles down, and then you basically on the Android or iOS, it opens up a browser and runs the app in the browser, but it's very slow and stuff. But it means you can use JavaScript and write it once, and it runs in both of these. But it's not native. So what Google did with all of their engineers is they made like a whole separate stack where you could basically run the code in these natively. So from Flutter you get your Dart, iOS, JS, and each of these without doing anything. You write the code once here, and you get, what's that, 6 and more, without doing anything at all. And what the guys in Clojure Dart did is they created this, and they created a REPL, and their language is much better. They improved on it dramatically. They removed all of the like boilerplate, which is like code that's not strictly needed. They just have to do cause, and they much better taking it. And so far when I'm building Dart Flutter apps, they tend to come into like tens of thousands of lines, like 80,000, 90,000 lines of code. And it's not that there's 90,000 lines of logic, it's that there's so much ladders of UI, of like put this UI here, put it there, and then you copying that, and then you're like moving it around and stuff like this, and it just floats. With Clojure Dart, they've removed that, so far it's been like a tenth of the amount of lines of code needed. And it's like lines of code is not a great metric, but it is a lot easier when you have a lot less code to go looking for issues in, right? And the real issue I had with Dart, I could get a new one. I'll try to explain this. It's probably an easier way to use this. Why can I not flick across to this one? I don't even know. The real issue with Dart was I kept fighting the language. So in the beginning, the architecture was like you'd have like the UI. UI. You'd have like the UI then over here, say, and you keep your files over here separate, and then you'd have like your data here. And the whole thing about like building apps is that you have like a state, and then like you kind of like the state is kind of informing this one of what to be. So if someone's logged in, show a certain thing and stuff, and then the UI is informing the state, right? And then with Flutter, like state is kind of in all apps, and front end stuff, it like state is the hardest thing to do. So you generally use a package. So we use like Riverpod 2 and then 3 pod. That's such a long word. Which is a library that kind of managed this, and then the data kept getting like all kinds of craziness. So we would put in made it immutable, which means that like you don't, once you make it, you don't go back and change it, right? You just make a new copy of it, and that removes loads of issues. So then we used something called freezed for that, and there's not a need for me to keep doing this. Freezed, and then we only had to kind of interface with our JSON, so we JSON annotate, and then it was in like a model provider and repository setup, and blah 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 blah. You're kind of just constantly building all these little blocks, you know. It's just getting more and more and more and more and more. And with these 3 in particular, they were being generated. So you would write them once. You write the file, and then you would run a command, and it would build your code, your .g files, which is generating the boilerplate. So you had to go write your code, and then you had to go generate your code, and then you had to go and compile your code, and then you had to go look at your code, and then you would know if it was okay or not. And then you had to manage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like loads of dependencies, and every time they're updated, you have to update it and stuff. So it just became a mess, a real mess. And yeah, I'm kind of getting PTSD thinking about it. But the whole thing of like it taking 5 minutes just to even like run the code, and then all of a sudden you get like to close your Dart. It's definitely a better way of doing this. And there's none of that. There was no dependencies even. Like there's some, but not that many. The state is just closure. So it's just like this. Oh my bad. I'll stop. But it's just no dependencies. There's none of I can use this one. There's none of this. Oh, wrong tool. There's none of this, because you use the native one, you use the closure one. There's none of this, because closure by default is immutable. There's none of this, because it handles it better. This step is gone, and even this step is gone, because it has the REPL. So you make your change, and you look, and you see the change. So you can like see it moving across the screen, and dramatically speeds it up. It makes it much better. So yeah, that was the reason why I switched, and I hope I explained that well. And yeah, I think when I release the code, people will be able to see why. So Sinead, I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna post this up, for better or worse, and may the book is I'll just slán live.